Legacy characters are really important to comics because they're a way to draw in new fans while also giving life to mantles that maybe are feeling a little stale. And today we're going to do legacy characters that are actually better heroes than the original. And this isn't to say that the original heroes that they took the mantle from were bad, but for me, these are the ones that just did it better or were just more interesting overall. And we're just going to jump right into the list, but I want to let you guys know that I will be doing two more lists, one that lives up to the mantle, so pretty much on par or at least, you know, living up to the mantle of the original hero, and then I'm going to do a list of did not live up to the mantle. So be on the lookout for those, but for now, let's check out the heroes that surpassed the original for me. And to start off the list, we're going to go with Robbie Reyes and Johnny Blaze. And Ghost Rider has always been an interesting character for me. I always like the design and look of him. I mean, who doesn't like a flaming skull on a motorcycle? But Robbie Reyes is just a far more interesting character for me than Johnny Blaze. I like the fact that he kind of has his self-doubts. I like that he is attached to a spirit of vengeance that is quite brutal in his nature and what he is, and when you find out, I don't want to spoil it, it's pretty fucked up. I also just like Robbie Reyes in general. Having a younger Ghost Rider, I think, helps bring in new fans and certainly made me interesting in the character. And I think he's different enough where I like that he has a car versus a motorcycle, that it's something a little bit different. I do like Johnny Blaze as Ghost Rider, don't get me wrong, but for me, Robbie Reyes is the more interesting of the two for the Ghost Rider character. So next on the list is Flash Thompson and Eddie Brock, and this is for the Venom mantle, and it's pretty easy to see how this happened because only recently has Eddie Brock been kind of an interesting character, mostly thanks to Donny Cates' run. Before that, he was not very interesting. I personally did not like him. So when Flash Thompson became the new Venom, I certainly gave it a chance, and right out of the gate, I just loved his character. He's sympathetic. He has a backstory that really is kind of screwed up, but it works really well of what happened to him in a war, and also the fact that Flash Thompson has to deal with more problems that I find interesting, especially with his baggage with his father. On top of that, Agent Venom has the best Venom design, hands down. Nothing even comes close in my opinion. So yeah, this one's a pretty easy one for me. Flash Thompson is the much better Venom for me in terms of the Venom mantle. And next up is the Speedy mantle, and this is from Mia and Roy. So Roy, let me just get it out of the way. I like Roy enough that he's a pretty cool character, but I always liked him more as Arsenal than anything of Speedy or even Red Arrow. I think he's just cooler as Arsenal. He's more of that grit to him. Whereas Mia, I really liked her being Speedy. She had that kind of look and design that you can actually envision a character named Speedy with a bow and arrow shooting really quick. On top of that, she is a character that came from the bottom and got to the top, and I really enjoyed her journey. And also the fact that she has to live with a deadly disease like HIV is pretty heartbreaking as a teenager. So watching all these things accumulate to a character that becomes a hero is really interesting. Also, her design, beautiful, love it. I can't wait till she returns in the new Green Arrow series. But yeah, as much as I think Roy is a kind of cool character, I think he better is suited as Arsenal, whereas I think Mia totally took the Speedy mantle, and I wish she was still around more and more. All right, and so we're coming with Damian. Now, Damian has taken the mantle from Tim, who's taken the mantle from Jason, who's taken the mantle from Dick. But in the end, the Robin mantle is a pretty amazing mantle. And yes, even characters like Stephanie Brown were Robin at one time. And it's a pretty cool mantle, but I feel like if I were to look back, and I've read a lot of DC now, for me, Damian is the best Robin. I think he fits it the best. I think he suits it the best. I think he's the most interesting Robin, because all the other characters, I feel like they evolved into their own identity, you know, with Jason becoming the Red Hood and Dick becoming Nightwing, and even Tim becoming Red Robin, which I don't know why they took that away. So stupid, DC, so stupid. But I think Damian just fills the Robin status so well. I really enjoy him as Robin. I think he has that enough like against his father, but also working with his father. I think his team up with Dick and Damian was so well done, and just everything about Damian makes him interesting for me because I feel like he is different enough, yet he's a lot of fun, plus he can hold his own, so it has all of that. So yeah, for me, Damian just really, works the best as the Robin. All right, and so we have Scott Lang with obviously Hank Pym, and yeah, he does a great job being Ant-Man. I think he's a lot more comical. I think he's funny. I think his background of being a thief definitely adds a layer to the character. On top of that, his relationship with his daughter is really, really adorable in both the movie form and the comics. So yeah, I just like Scott Lang because I feel like he tries his best to do what he's gonna do and be a hero. And, you know, Hank Pym is, you know, a womanizing, you know, piece of shit. I'm just joking. I know it's changed over the years, but I'm not a fan of Hank Pym. I'm not a fan of him in the 616. I am certainly not a fan of him in the Ultimate Universe. So for me, Scott Lang has just always been a much more relatable, much more charming, much better character. And also his suit is much fucking cooler. So next up is Kamala and Carol for Miss Marvel. Now, I actually like Captain Marvel. I think Carol fits that mantle pretty well. She's done a good job of embracing it. But for Miss Marvel, I didn't really like her that much. I thought her design was okay, and just not for me. I was never interested in her character, to put it blank. But Kamala has obviously taken that mantle and blew up in popularity. She's not only in video games, in comics, and TV shows, soon to be in movies. Kamala is a very fun character. That's what really is about, what's charming about her, is that she's just fun. She's a nerd like us. She's a super fangirl, and that kind of makes all of us who are big fanboys and fangirls of comics really relate to her. So Kamala is just really cool, and I haven't really watched her show, so I don't know her power set, but in the comics, her being stretchy is a lot of fun, and she comes up with some really cool moments. And I think she's a great gateway character, meaning that if you pick up her book and you don't really read comics, this could be a potential character that you'll get attached to right away. So for sure, Kamala really carries that Miss Marvel mantle. All right, next up is Kate Spencer, and she's taken the mantle of Manhunter, and that was, you know, Paul Kirk or Dan Richards or Chase or Kirk, whoever you want to say who had the Manhunter mantle she took it from. But to me, Kate Spencer is the first one that actually made me go back and read all the other Manhunters, because I thought she was just phenomenal. Just a character that has this real grit about her to, you know, go against the grind. Like, she will and do good things. She's a hero, I guess, or more like a vigilante, and she'll do the good things, but she'll also kill a villain. Like, she don't give a shit. And so you kind of get that Punisher vibe, but not quite as psychopathic. Also on the fact that she has a family and she's kind of dealing with that, and all of that is great, and kind of just protecting her son. Just so many layers to this character, in both the human side of it, the slice of life stuff, into the superhero stuff, not to mention her design. Beautiful, one of my favorite. Yeah, Manhunter is one of the biggest surprises I ever read in my life in comics. Did not expect much from it. Absolutely came away just enjoying it so much that I want her back in comics. And yeah, I think she definitely holds the mantle as the best for that character, hands down. All right, and coming up next is Cassandra Kane for Barbara as Batgirl. Now, Batgirl is a mantle that also was shared by a few people, but I feel like the best, and for me, the strongest by far, Batgirl is Cassandra Kane. Now, I do like Stephanie Brown. I do like Barbara as Batgirl. But for me, Cassandra Kane has so many little things about her that really just boost it up. Just first off, her fighting style and how powerful she is makes so much sense due to her training when she was a child and how she was raised to be basically the ultimate weapon. Ultimately makes her one of the coolest characters when it comes to fighting. She really is brutal. But on top of that, what makes it interesting with that character is the fact that she is still trying to be more human. She didn't get to be a child growing up, and so as a teenager and young adult, she is kind of finding her ways, and she's even having to learn how to speak. Things like that are so interesting to me because, you know, I obviously was raised with a decent life, and so I don't have those things. So kind of going in her view and trying to learn about how she's connecting to the world is so interesting. On top of all that, her design as Batgirl is still my favorite. I love the mask over the face completely. I just think it's so cool and badass and a little scary. So yeah, Batgirl, aka Cassandra Kane version, is hands down my favorite Batgirl of all time. Alright, and next is the Flash mantle, and I'm going to have to give it to Wally West. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Barry's okay. I think Jay's okay. I think Bart was a terrible Flash, but a much better Impulse. But Wally West, he's my man. he's a dude. He's a cool dude. You know, he's worked his way up. He's proven himself. He is one of my favorite legacy characters of all time. On top of that, he has evolved so much. He's became from a cocky little teenager to an unsure young adult, to falling in love with Linda, to creating a family, to having kids. Like, this evolution is what I want to see with comic book characters, and he nails it. On top of that, his design is awesome. I really liked it in the late 80s and 90s, and then I really liked his design when he came back from Rebirth. I don't know why they got rid of that design, but it's so cool with his hair flapping everywhere. So yeah, Wally West, not only is he a great character, and the evolution of him is absolutely phenomenal, but I also think that he's just the best Flash. I think he's the one that is the strongest, or has the most feet, that he can be the best, and I think that's been proven. So yeah, the Flash for Wally West is my favorite. Last but not least is Kyle for Hal Jordan as Green Lantern. So this one will probably be the most controversial on my list, or maybe not, but I just always favored Kyle. He was the first Green Lantern that I've noticed when I was a kid picking up comic books when I was young, and then much later reading the Green Lantern runs. And I absolutely love Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. I think it's great. I think Hal is really cool in there. But Kyle, something about him, I think just being an everyday guy who's just trying to, you know, be a hero. Like, he wasn't the one. He went and had to prove to be a hero. He worked to be a hero. He wasn't gifted it. You know, he was gifted the ring, of course, but then he had to prove himself, and he did so. He chose it, and I think that's what's so awesome. On top of that, I think his design is great. I think he has some excellent stories. I think his 90s run is extremely underrated. Even when he became an almighty godlike figure, like with the Ion, or Eon, is it Ion? Either way, he still was him, and that's what makes Kyle so damn cool, because he's just a dude who's trying to do his best and be a good guy. And I think in life, as someone like myself who's just trying to do that, I relate to him a lot. On top of that, I love his design, especially the white and black suit. Such a cool suit. So yeah, Kyle is definitely my favorite Green Lantern, and I like a lot of Green Lanterns, but he is absolutely my favorite, and I think he surpasses Hal Jordan. And that's my list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, there's a lot of great legacy characters, and if you didn't see some on here that you might be like, what about this character? Well, they might be on my other list of lived up to, as in meaning they're pretty much on par with the original in different ways, or maybe they'll end up on my little list of did not live up to the mantle, which might make some people a little upset at me. I guess we'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you love me, hit that subscribe button. And if you really, really enjoyed this, well, I don't know, maybe leave a comment and let me know what you think of these legacy characters, or which ones do you think surpass the original. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a wonderful comic book filled day.